As we approach this season of NBA basketball, we see lists coming out left and right with everyone's top 50. Well, this is my top 50 of NBA players headed into this season. I've come up with a very scientific equation to rank these players, and by that, I mean do whatever ESPN doesn't do. We all know their rankings can be a little questionable, so I'm here to set the record straight. I put in the work, stats, eye test, and a little bit of gut feeling to bring you a list that's actually accurate. And hey, this is all about sparking some good debates, so make sure to let me know in the comments who's too high, who's too low, and if I missed out on anyone that should be in the top 50. I want to keep it short and simple. I don't want to make this video too long, so let's just jump into it. And to kick things off at 50, I got Julius Randle. He's the newest member of the Timberwolves, and he brings a lot to the table. He brings scoring, rebounding, and playmaking, and he's going to complement Anthony Edwards great. The spacing will be sus for the Timberwolves, so we'll see how that actually works out. I think Naz Reid will play a lot. With a fresh start, he'll look to provide veteran leadership and consistent production for his new team. 49, I got OG Anunoby. He is one of the best defenders in the NBA. Perimeter, inside, he can do it all. He can guard multiple positions with ease, and he is pretty gifted offensively as well. He has a three ball. He's a modern day 3-and-D guy, and any team would love to have him. At 48, I got a guy that would be ranked much higher coming into last season. However, with the injury to Steven Adams, he wasn't the same at playing center, and that's Jaren Jackson Jr. He's the former depoy, one of the best shot blockers in the NBA, and he also stretches the floor as a big man. And his versatility as a roamer on defense and improving offensively, he makes a key piece for the Memphis Grizzlies' future. At 47, we got all reliable DeMar DeRozan. It goes in. The mid-range king. If he's got a toe on the line, you know it's not going in. A low-key signing for the Kings, who I think will be great for them, and he's going to provide a lot in terms of leadership as well. At 46, I got Mikal Bridges, and as long as his shot doesn't look as broken as I've seen it lately on Twitter, he's still going to be great. He's developed into a pretty reliable scorer while he was on the Nets when he had the larger role, and him and OG will be perimeter defender nightmares for other teams. 45, I got LaMelo Ball. He's so good, and one of the most exciting guards in the NBA. When he's healthy, he's always hurt though. When he's on the court, he's got his flashy flair, and he can run the offense and create for himself and others. Being 6'7" as a point guard doesn't hurt either. We will see him be the cornerstone for the Hornets for the future. 44, I got Brandon Ingram. He's an elite scorer with great handles and one of the best mid-range games again in the NBA. He's great for the Pelicans, and very underrated aspect about his game is his playmaking. He averages about 6 assists a game, and he's very important for the New Orleans offense. On at 43, I got Alfred Sengun. At this point, I think he's right now the Rockets' best player, and he's really developed and broke out last year. He's a versatile big man. He's great at offense, passing, rebounding, post play. He does it all on offense, and he has been improving defensively as well. And at this point, he has potential to become one of the best centers in the NBA. And at 42, I have Rudy Gobert. He is still one of the best rim protectors in the NBA. He gets clowned sometimes by other NBA players for his lack of perimeter defense, and we saw it with Luka in the playoffs. At the end of the day, he is the depoy for a reason, and he's going to continue doing what he does best, and that's guard the rim. At 41, I got a guy that could arguably be higher, but for right now, entering the season, I'm going to put him here at 41, Chet Holmgren. And technically last year was his rookie year after he hurt his foot his first year. And he's a great shot blocker, and he's a great shooter, and he's very versatile for the OKC Thunder. A modern day big who's going to continue to keep raising his ceiling. 40, I got a guy much like Chet Holmgren, very similar, but he's done it longer. Kristaps Porzingis, great size. He's like 7'4", and he's a shooter. We saw it in the finals when he was able to play. He changed the series, and he's providing stretch, inside outside shot blocking is great. You worry about with these guys is their health and longevity, but otherwise than that, these players will always be very valuable for today's NBA. Moving into the 30s, at 39, I got Derek White, and he has emerged as a vital two-way guard for the Boston Celtics. He made the defensive all-second team last year, and he might just be the best shot blocking guard of all time. He's a great hustle player, timely scoring with the three ball, and any team would honestly love to have a player like Derek White on their team. At 38, I got Cade Cunningham, and this is the highest I could honestly put him without it getting egregious, and I think it's a good spot for him as a Pistons fan. I want to put him higher. I got to watch him try and carry the Pistons to as many wins as they could last year, which was like 5. But anyways, there was no spacing. Yeah, he was still pretty efficient. I know it could be better, but without the spacing, it was hard for him to get anything going downhill. I think at the end of the day, Cade Cunningham could eventually see himself being a top 15, 20 type of player. He might not be a true number 1 on a team ever. He is a great number 2 option, and if he could be a number 1 one day, that would be great. 37, we got another young player for the OKC Thunder in Jalen Williams. He's a versatile, skilled NBA player. He's great at scoring, playmaking, and defense. Like, what more can you really ask? He's a 3-level scorer. He can shoot off the dribble and create for himself and teammates with good court vision. Going into his 3rd year, I could definitely see him taking a big jump in his development, and this is why the OKC Thunder are such a good team. They get guys like this in the middle of the draft. 36, we got good old Spicy Pete, Pascal Siakam. It's a great trade for the Pacers. He's a great compliment to Tyrese Haliburton, who we will get to later in the video. He's a great post scorer. He can shoot the 3. His mid-range is way better. Defensively, he can switch. He's long, and he can guard multiple positions great. And obviously, he's got a high motor and the spin move from hell that he loves using once he gets into the post. He looks to be still an awesome player for the Pacers this year. Moving on to 35, I got Jrue Holiday. He's an elite NBA player, NBA guard, and he's known for his defensive abilities. And some might say the Boston Celtics were the true winner of the Dame Lillard trade with the Bucks because he got traded over to the Celtics after that. But anyways, he can score effectively enough and he can facilitate the offense. And when he's at his best, he can guard the best player, take him out of a game. He's a clutch defender, and he's a key asset for the Celtics on both ends of the floor. And now at 34, I got a guy that some might argue to be higher, but he has regressed. We got James Harden at 34. He's still got elite playmaking and he can still score. And without Paul George on the offense, they're going to need him even more this year. And Kawhi's going to always be hurt. So we might see a lot of James Harden this year. He's a valuable asset. We still got to see it in the playoffs. We haven't been able to see it in the playoffs. But he's still James Harden. And at the end of the day, you know he can take over a game when needed. 33, we got the self-proclaimed best big man shooter of all time, Karl-Anthony Towns. He's an elite scorer. He can stretch the floor with the best of them at the 5. At this point in his career, he's an underrated defender and even a passer, and he can contribute multiple ways to win. I think the Knicks did great in the trade for Julius Randle and getting Karl-Anthony Towns back. I'm at the point of the video where I see a name every time. I'm like, wow, damn, they could be higher. And right now I'm at 32, and I got Trae Young. Trae Young is one of the league's most electrifying scorers and playmakers, and he can shoot from deep. He's got his flashy passes. He's the engine of the Atlanta Hawks offense, and if he can continue to improve his efficiency just a little bit, he'll take the next leap up to the higher tiers of players. He took a not-so-great team, the Atlanta Hawks, a few years ago to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks, and it was a competitive series at the time. And now at 31, I got Jamal Murray. And when he's on, he's on. He does not miss. We could ask any Lakers fans, even if it's regular season, especially the postseason. When Jamal Murray's playing the Lakers, he doesn't miss, especially in the clutch. He's just shooting over AD, shooting fadeaways, turnaround jumpers. Everything's going in, and it's a joy to watch when he's on. Injuries have hindered him a little bit, but he was the second best player on a championship roster not too long ago, and I expect him to be that coming into this year as well. Rounding up 30s, I got Scotty Barnes, and I do get a little bit of envy watching him as a Pistons fan, and I know he stole that Cade Cunningham Roy. I'm joking. It was well deserved by Scotty. He's a great player, and he's continuing to develop that 3-ball, pouring onto what he can do right now as a playmaker, defender, scorer around the rim. He's going to be great for the Raptors' future, and the type of player he is like a 6'8" point forward. That's great for the modern day NBA as well. And now moving into the 20s, at 29, I got Lauri Markkanen. Who would have thought that moving off the Bulls, you would finally get to show your true potential? As a 7-footer who hits the 3-ball consistently, it makes it hard for teams to defend because he spaces the floor as a big. He should likely be a hot trade commodity in today's NBA, as the Jazz are kind of tanking. so we might see him on a true contender, which will be awesome to see. And now at 28, I got former #1 overall pick Zion Williamson. He might have had the best high school mixtape of all time. When healthy, Zion is the most dominant force in the NBA. How explosive and athletic, and how he finishes around the rim. We haven't seen anything like it. He's like a mini Shaq that can jump out of the gym. However, health is a major concern with him, as we all know. Hopefully, he comes into the season more conditioned than he has in the past, because watching Zion every day, you gotta get your popcorn out. And now moving on to 27, I got another former overall #1 pick, Kyrie Irving. I think Kyrie is definitely the most skilled player in the NBA. He can create his own shot in a phone booth. He's got the basketball on a string the whole time. You can't steal it from him. He's hitting the most crazy layups I've ever seen. His offensive talent is undeniable. His defense isn't great, but his offense is so good. And the only downfall of Kyrie to this day is his ability to mess with teammates. However, I will say he's been doing great as far as Kyrie goes for the last year and a half with the Mavs. At 26, I got a former Roy Rookie of the Year, Paolo Banchero. He's a modern day player, point forward type of player, and with his size and handles, he can score from anywhere on the floor. He's a great playmaker for others, and he is the face of the franchise for the Magic. And with his development turning a corner this year, I think the Magic will be a playoff contender this year. And rounding into the top 25, I got Dame Lillard. He's known for his deep shooting and his clutch gene. Obviously, you got Dame time, and he's got the most range in the NBA. One of the best point guards in our generation. Last year, the Bucks were kind of had the injury bug, especially in the playoffs. I think they're poised to make a deep playoff run this year, and obviously they're going to be competing for a championship if you got Dame and Giannis. Now, moving on to 24, I got Bam Adebayo. He's one of the few handful of players in today's NBA that can truly guard positions 1 through 5. Besides his defense, I think Bam is very underrated as a playmaker, and with his work ethic, he is a perfect player for the Heat. 23, I got Ja Morant. He's an explosive NBA point guard, known for his elite athleticism, speed, scoring ability. When he's on the court, not hurt or not suspended for off-the-court gun issues, he's going to be a dynamic offensive leader. Huge for the Memphis Grizzlies with his fearlessness in big moments. He's a super fun, exciting young player to watch in today's NBA. 22, I got De'Aaron Fox. Easily the fastest player in the NBA, especially when he has the ball in his hands. He's under control. He's an electrifying point guard and a true leader for the Kings now. He's become a good defender now, especially at his size. He's pretty impactful on that end. He's a great player for the Kings right now. At 21, I got Jimmy Buckets. He's obviously a great two-way player. We all know that. He embodies Heat culture, and when it comes to the playoffs, I think he elevates his game to a top 10 level type of player. But during the regular season, he takes it a little bit easy, and that's why he's a little bit lower than he might think he should be. Rounding into the top 20, I got Tyrese Maxey, last year's MIP, most improved player, and he made his first All-Star game. As soon as James Harden left the Sixers, he immediately had to take a big step up, and last year was truly his breakout season. I think he can build on what he did last year. With good efficiency and averaging 6 assists a game, he's a key player for the Sixers. Moving on, I just realized I forgot this player, and I think he fits around 20, so I'm going to call him 20A, and it's Paul George. He's known for his smooth type of scoring, his strong defense, and he's a perfect wing that any team would want on their team. And he's a defensive standout, combination of size, skill, and basketball IQ. He's impactful on both ends, and the Sixers are very happy to have him. And at 19, I got the Finals MVP, Jaylen Brown. He's a two-way wing, which is so valuable in today's NBA for the Celtics. Great defense, efficient scoring, very athletic, is getting better at dribbling, even though he still doesn't have a great left, and it allows him to attack the rim with force, and his three-point shooting is a reliable weapon for him, and he's part of Boston's young core, and he's essential to their success. 18, I got Tyrese Halliburton. He's an all-NBA player now. He's an all-star for the last 2 years. One of the young, exciting players of today's game. He's a smooth player with a funky delivery, still goes in. He shot 40% from 3 2 years ago. He was hampered by injuries last year, so I think he can improve his efficiency this year and honestly work his way up to a top 10, 15 type of player. Now at 17, I got Donovan Mitchell. A along with Halliburton. Mitchell is another guy the Pistons just did not want to draft, even though he had a great workout with them. These draft day woes still haunt me to this day. Anyways, as he's joined the Cleveland Cavs, he's elevated his game. He's basically a do-it-all player with good defense, playmaking, and he's easily the Cavs' best player. At 16, I got Domantas Sabonis, and honestly, he might be one of the most underrated NBA players in the game. People don't talk about him that much because he's on the Kings, and they play too late at night for most people. He's got great footwork, great post game, one of the best rebounders in the game, and he's also an outstanding passer. He does basically everything that Jokic does, but like a tier below him. Still a super valuable player for the Kings, and I do think he's the best player on the Kings. Moving into the top 15, I think any of these guys from now till number 1 can definitely be the number 1 option on a championship team, and my 15 is Devin Booker. We saw him take the Suns team to the finals a few years ago. Obviously he didn't win, but he's a dynamic 3-level scorer, excelling at the mid-range, driving to the rim, strong playmaker, clutch performer. Sometimes I swear he turns into like prime Michael Jordan and won't miss a mid-range shot. Everything he shoots is going in. High level production you'll get from him every game. 14, I got Kawhi Leonard. Despite all his injuries, he was still All-NBA second team last year. When he won the championship in Toronto, people were literally calling him the best player in the NBA. He was looking that good. When he is healthy, when he's playing at his best, he's just a two-way monster, and he's literally unstoppable on the court. Now at 13, I got Jalen Brunson of the Knicks, and the Knicks got a gem out of him. When they first signed him, they didn't pay him that much money. And now they extended him, and he didn't even command the max because he wants to play with his best friends from Villanova, the Nova boys, even though they traded Dante DiVincenzo. He's now the heart and soul of the team. He's not just a scorer. He can run the offense at an elite level, make smart plays under pressure, and that's what makes him one of the most valuable guards in the NBA, along with his clutch scoring, his IQ, footwork. The Knicks got a good one here. Now at 12, I got a guy I wanted so desperately to put in the top 10, but I just couldn't do it just after 1 year, his rookie year as well. I got Victor Wembanyama. After this year, I think he'll be easily a top 10 player, if not higher, top 5, and eventually become the best player in the NBA. That's how good he's gonna be. He's just a literal alien on the court. I feel like I don't even need to talk about him. We all know who he is. And now at 11, I got Anthony Edwards, aka Ant, super explosive NBA guard. Another player who draws MJ comparisons. I think the NBA community is thirsty for the next MJ. He's a great two-way player, strong defender, guards multiple positions with his size, quickness, and the energy he brings to the court. And obviously, he's one of the most confident players in the NBA with an all-around skill set. And now rounding into the top 10, I got Jason Tatum, two-way player again, who's the best player for the Celtics. He's a scorer who can create his own shot anywhere on the floor, inside, outside, 3-level scorer. Seemingly, the Celtics are a lock with Jason Tatum to make the Eastern Conference Finals at the very minimum, and a championship contender every year, as long as Jason Tatum is leading the team. At number 9, I got LeBron James. As long as he's in the NBA, I feel like he'll always be a top 10 player. He continues to defy age with his all-around game, his leadership, elite passing, scoring, IQ, most points ever, top playmakers in the game. We know who he is. It's LeBron James, man. Even as he's declining, he's a top 10 player no matter what. He's like 40 years old. This is unheard of. He's so old, he's playing with his kid. First time that's even ever happened. As he keeps playing, he's going to continue racking up all NBA teams, solidifying his legacy as one of the all-time greats, if not the best ever. Number 8, I got his teammate Anthony Davis. We finally got to see a healthy season out of him last year. Knock on wood, he stays healthy. And when we saw this season out of him, he's all NBA first team on defense, NBA second team, an all-star, and he's always in talks about being a depoy, as long as he's healthy. And if preseason is any indication, it looks like he's got his 3-ball back, and if Anthony Davis is shooting threes again, watch out. At 7, I got KD, Kevin Durant. I mean, he's a pure scorer, efficiency god, unmatched shooting, touch, and size. He's a 7-footer. He can shoot over any defender, making him one of the hardest players to guard in the NBA. One thing that people don't talk about too much, I mean, obviously Kevin Durant, he has become a little bit injury prone as he's aged. When he comes back from injury, there is never any rust. It's Kevin Durant. You know who he is. At 6, we got one of the best big men in the game, former MVP, Joel Embiid, one of the most dominant centers. He's got a little bit of old school big men game in him, along with new school, today's current game. And he's nearly impossible to stop in the post. He brings good post defense, can't move the man, he's almost 300 pounds, rim protection, but obviously his knocks are, I think there's two big ones. His injury history is huge, and in the playoffs, he doesn't get as many calls and can't get to the line like he can in the regular season. And finally, moving into the top 5, I got Steph Curry, the greatest shooter in NBA history. He revolutionized the game with his deep ball. He can score effortlessly, making him constant offensive threat. Everyone knows about his gravity, getting his teammates wide open shots. Even at this stage of his career, he's the only reason that the Warriors are still competitive as a team. Moving on to number 4, I got the MVP runner-up from last year, SGA. He really broke out in 22-23 year, and then had his best year last year. He averages 30 points a game without even shooting threes really, which is pretty tough for an NBA guard to do in today's game. Overall, he's a matchup nightmare. He also plays very strong defense. He averages about 2-3 steals a game and helped the Thunder guide him through the rebuild, and that's why they were the 1 seed last year. They got an MVP candidate player. And going into the top 3, I feel like the top 3 is pretty set with these 3 players. You might have a different order for them, but my 3 is Luka Doncic. What he does on the court make him one of the league's top offensive players. His knack for making the impossible play look easy. We've seen it many times in the playoffs, just shooting fadeaway threes, turnaround jumpers off 1 foot. I don't know. It's going in the clutch. Constantly putting out triple doubles, clutch performances while leading the Mavs to the playoffs. They went to the finals because of how good Luka is. Number 2, I got Giannis Antetokounmpo, aka the Greek Freak. Before the age of 30, he's done everything you can do in the NBA. He's won 2 MVPs. He's got a DPOY, Finals MVP. Always gonna be on NBA first team. He doesn't even need to shoot the 3 ball. He can dunk from the free throw line on the whole team. He's capable of finishing with power, finesse, and he's obviously a great defender. He's won the DPOY, impacting the game on both ends of the floor. And finally, number 1, we got Nikola Jokic, the Joker. If you get bored, just look up his basketball reference page. It's elite. He's going to be an MVP frontrunner every year. He's going to make one of the 3 NBA teams with ease. He averages basically a triple-double. Averaging 10 assists as a center is crazy, and he might be the best passer of all time. Definitely the best big man passer, and the man is super durable. I guess you can't injure fat. And that rounds up my top 50, technically 51 because I forgot Paul George, so you got extra. Let me know who I missed, who should be higher, who should be lower, and thanks for watching.